such a thing.
How dare me?
Why would you eat all of your meat so quickly?
Indeed. I don't know why I answered that way, because it literally does not respond to you at all.
Man, you know what? It's all good. It's all good.
Good butter and bread.
Shut up, Josh.
I don't even, honestly, half the time I'm not even 100% sure what you're saying.
You don't have to be sure about what I'm saying. You just have to understand the words individually, and then make with that what you will, or will not.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, mainly, a lot of times the words that I want to make just involve doing the Mario. So
you learned how to walk forward.
Yeah, because you just swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go do the Mario.
Take one step and then another.
No, it's and then again.
Oh, and then again. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Nick. Apparently,
I watched that show
one
time just to say I could
walk. There are
walk.
only like 5 words of that song, and you think you would know them by now.
Hey, man, I don't know how to walk.
I'll hope you at least know your DK rap a little better than that.
Oh, I know.
Well, he's finally here to kick some tail.
Josh, did you know any other part other than Donkey Kong?
I never got past the Donkey Kong portion.
Wait, here, I'm going to set you up for the Donkey Kong portion. Let's see how much you can actually get through. All right.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Man, it's because you don't know it.
No, it's because there are certain words in it that I don't use.
What?
Well, it depends on which revision.
I'm just talking about the original one, man.
Oh.
I don't think there's any foul language in that.
For Nintendo, there is.
I'm talking about DK64.
Mm.
That's the true DK rap, because he's the leader of the bunch, and you know him well. It's true. It's a true thing, man. If he shoots you with his coconut gun, though, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt. And that's not DK though. That's Diddy.
Nah, Diddy doesn't have a coconut gun. He has a peanut gun.
Wait a second. Yeah, you're right.
Come on, Josh.
I've not played it in a while, man.
See, because Diddy Kong, he's back again in About Time 2, and this time he's in the mood.
You're just reading it.
He can fly real high with his jetpack on. His pistol's out. He's one tough Kong. I'm just saying, DK, Donkey Kong, huh?
What, after that, does it go like Donkey Kong is here or something?
Yeah, it does, actually. At the beginning, before his part. I mean, because you got Cranky up in there, you got all of them.
Cranky's in there?
Yeah, Cranky's in that song.
Is he? I didn't remember Cranky. I know you got Lanky.
I'm pretty sure.
Lanky and...
I think actually...
Donkey.
I think Cranky, they actually just tell him to, like, take it to the fridge or whatever at the end.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Whoa, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells. You don't remember any of this, do you?
No, I remember it when you say it, but I don't know what half of it means.
At least you can do the Mario. That's a little simpler, I guess.
Yeah.
It's funny though. I didn't realize until much later that he literally was just telling us how to walk. There's no dance to it.
Well, he's got kind of like a little hop to it.
But see, that's not really dancing. If you look at him, he was a wrestler, and so he's a big guy. And those guys kind of have a hop to their walk anyway.
That's a true story. Yeah. Hey, well, I guess we've been live this whole time, so I guess we should probably start the show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that's what that little yellow thing that says live means.
Yeah, it is indeed. It is indeed. So.
I was alive.
Oh, well, you are alive. That's also true, I guess. Man, yeah. So, hey, everybody. Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the World Map Podcast, your weekly dose of everything that could be on the map. In terms of, video games, nerd stuff, comics, movies, television shows, books, and other fun hobbies that we do and we talk about. Might even dole out a little advice at some point. I'm Josh, and I am joined, as always, by my two very lovely co-hosts. Joining me from New York City, Clark.
That's me.
As he poses, yes, and then also Nick posing there as well.
Right here.
Yeah, man. So, and you're no longer in your mountain cave hideout there. It looks like you've changed locations.
Sure did.
You look like you're in a hotel room.
You actually do. You've got those weird like curtains behind you.
I got it. It's to throw off the viewers. I don't need them finding me. If I'm not hidden in my mountain, I got to keep them guessing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I also have changed locations. I'm technically on vacation this week, but couldn't let the listeners go without a podcast episode. It just wouldn't be right, man. Although if you hear like waves crashing, or children screaming or anything like that, then we'll see how that all goes. But
I would say turn the TV off, then, good sir.
Oh well, no, not from the TV, from the surroundings in which I am in.
Ah, okay.
Yes. And I also used like weird, correct, yet also incorrect preposition use there, so we're off to a good start.
Indeed. Well, we're all from West Virginia, so at some point, so
It's true.
that means bad grammar will come out. It's inevitable.
That is very much the case, sir. Yeah, so I guess we could go ahead and jump right into a little section we call the backlog. And this is the part of the show where we talk about the games we're clearing out of our backlog. I thought this is a point that I should actually mention is, for newer listeners to the show, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in folks downloading the show each week. But I also get the analytics on like how many downloads there have been for the older episodes. There have been a few. But any of the new listeners, you should go back and listen to some of our early episodes. A, they're pretty good. B, we talk about games that are old and new when we talk about what we're clearing out of our backlog. So there's a lot of cool stuff to hear about. For games that you may be playing now that you've maybe played before and you'd hear a new perspective on. So the old episodes are a little bit evergreen. You can go back and listen to them again. So I encourage everybody to do that. Also, there are some surprise guests in some of the older episodes. We started this show out with Alex on some of the early episodes. This guy Alex, he just like turned into a vapor, man, to a ghost. Maybe we'll find him and put him on the show again one day. And then there's that great episode with our good friend Paul, where he talked about his cats. So go back and find some of those episodes. We've also had some pretty cool indie developer interviews on the last couple episodes, so that was cool. And we have some more of those coming up in future episodes actually that I've been lining up. So that'll be fun. But I'll go ahead and talk about what I've been playing this week. I feel so bad because every week, Clark, lately it seems like you're just always talking about Smash Bros.
I know. I'm trying not to.
And here I spent the last week mainly just playing Smash Bros.
It's a good game.
It is good, and it takes a lot of hard work to actually get competitively good at it, or even not even competitively, just decent at it. Enough to like win matches consistently against people who play a lot. So, man, I'm trying, but I'm slowly getting out of the suck zone into the like just kind of bad zone.
That's interesting. So you like the game, because I thought you didn't like fighting games.
Yeah. Let's hear more about that.
It's funny. I do hate fighting games, but I think Smash strikes this perfect balance where the controls are so simple. There's none of this like half of a rotation of the stick in a semicircle, BA, forward, back, up, down to like.
Ryu's in the game, and he has some of that. So
okay, Ryu is the exception, but generally Smash you've got jump, and then you've got A and B. Your regular attack, your special attack, and just the degree of which you tilt the joystick is how each of those two buttons react. So it's really just varying degrees of these two attacks. And for me, that works. It removes all the complexity of fighting games that I hate. That just like takes a lifetime to actually get good at them and master them, I feel like. And then, but at the same time, even though they're super simplistic to learn the controls of, Smash games are so very deep to actually know when to use the right controls, when to, grab beats shield, shield beats attack, attack beats grab, and really getting able to respond to those things strategically based on the other characters that you're fighting. And to me, that's fun. That's strategic. Whereas something like Street Fighter, to me, it's more about how fast can you input those combos, and I can't really get on board with that. So I don't know. I'm using primarily. Okay, so I'm primarily using Toon Link, but I feel like I'm probably best with Bowser right now.
Okay, why do you think you're best with Bowser?
Well, okay, so he's heavy. He's tough to knock off the stage.
So you die less with him.
I can kind of play center stage a little easier with him. He has that really cheap attack where he'll grab you and jump completely off the stage, and you can't really get away to save your life.
Not necessarily. At lower percentages, the person you grab actually controls where you move.
Yeah, well, most of the folks I'm playing against haven't figured that out, apparently. Actually, I don't even really use that on people who are at lower percentage. A lot of time, I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes, but my main reason for using that attack is when I know I'm about to get knocked off the stage, and it's worth it to sacrifice the life to like reset both players at 0 when I'm fighting someone. So it's kind of like a second chance type move. And then, you know, people can pummel me to death, and I might not get a hit in, and then I'll get like 3 hits in, and their damage percentage is the same as mine because Bowser's just like so strong. So I feel like he's a good like beginner starter character. It seems like so far.
Interesting fact. I was using Bowser against, I don't remember who or what I was playing, but I used that very move, and with some of the more recent patches, actually the whole time on the Wii U version, it kills Bowser before it kills the other player. But I did that move to try to kill the other player, and as soon as I died, they jumped their way all the way back onto the stage. And I'm like, God dang it.
That's why you got to rock the G-Door. His grab to the ground kills them first.
Yeah.
Though you're not jumping anywhere with him after you kill them.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that's been the bulk of my gaming. I've also been playing another Wii U title that I know I'm a little behind on compared to everyone else who's had a Wii U longer, but Mario Kart 8 got a little bit of that on. You know, doing okay there. I mean, it's Mario Kart. It's pretty much the easiest thing out there to pick up and put down. I'm not a big fan of racing games, or really, even though I played a lot as a kid, Mario Kart's not my favorite thing necessarily to play. You know, it's good couch co-op. You know, but aside from that, I wouldn't like play the single player all that much probably. But man, I'm a little disappointed just because the battle mode was always like my favorite thing about Mario Kart. So I always thought that was really cool. Had a lot of fun, a lot of good memories playing that against people. And they really, really screwed up battle mode in Mario Kart 8. I can't believe they haven't, like, I don't know. I mean, can't they just fix that? Can they just put the right maps back in there and make it like it used to be?
I don't think they know what battle mode is anymore. Ever since the 64 version, battle mode has progressively gotten worse.
I agree, but I would still say 64 was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. But
no, that was the best battle mode.
I could see arguments for that. I enjoy Super Nintendo battle mode quite a bit, too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I mean, like on the Wii version, they had arenas, but they messed battle mode up because it was all team based. And then they actually fixed that issue that I had with the Wii version of Mario Kart. But what do? They don't put arenas in. It's just, hey, just battle on the racetracks. Which, you know what? That you almost never see anybody. And sure, that would be cool if they allowed you to play on the racetracks in addition to actual battle arenas. It's like, you know, we already have these in the game, have at it, you know. But no, they didn't do that.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not so much that they changed what battle mode is. It's still the same basic concepts. You have the balloons, you're driving around to get items to shoot people and take their balloons out, but like you said, it's on the racetracks, which you're already, take the balloons out of the picture, it's everything you're already doing in a match anyway, racing around the track trying to shoot people with the items. Like, it's not a battle mode.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it needs to be that more arena setting. I don't know. So it's kind of weird. I like Mario Kart 8, but it's kind of like a game that I shrug my shoulders at. Like, I don't care when I play it. I'll play it here and there, but, you know, it's just fine. It's not Smash Bros. Nick, I think you've also been playing a little Wii U this week, and the most recent Splatoon update, which I haven't talked about Splatoon yet. I'm kind of saving it until I get a little further in, but I've tried a few matches. I think I like it, but you're pretty well experienced in Splatoon. What's this most recent update about?
Yeah, so the most recent update, I was expecting them to add some new game modes or something like that. Though they added a new ranked battle mode about a month or so ago. I think I mentioned that in one of the earlier episodes. But this most recent update, from what I could tell, they've just kind of they've added the ability to play with friends in ranked mode now, which is great. Which means if you want to play with me now, we can not only just goof around in the turf wars, we can now go straight to the ranked section of the game and play together, which is nice. They didn't have that before. They've also added new items for your gear, for different perks and all that, which just kind of seemed like that's kind of neat. But the biggest change I've noticed, they've added two actual new weapon types, like completely different weapon types altogether. Because before, I'm sure you just in your short amount of time of playing it, kind of noticed a lot of them are machine gun based, similar weapons. They're slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of uniqueness. I mean, they're unique, but not drastically different. So they kind of blend together, depending on which ones you're using. But they've added two new weapon types, which I actually enjoy both types. They have a bucket now. Just imagine you running around with like a bucket of paint, and you're just like throwing it. It's pretty sweet. It's got that shotgun kind of feel like the paint roller has.
Mm-hmm.
Except it goes further. And it's a little less narrow, but it goes further, and then it just kind of explodes in this general area. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty entertaining to just go around, you see an enemy in front of you, and you're just like, boom, you just dump a bucket of paint.
Yeah, the couple matches that I've played online, most of them I won, but man, that paint roller is annoying when you encounter someone who has that thing. I mean, it's just like kind of instant kill.
Yeah, but they have to be right up on you, so you really have to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, that was my strategy. Is I ended up staying back and like chucking grenades and then running in, splattering, kind of diving and swimming away. I don't know. It seems like a pretty fun game. Clark, I think you've been playing a little Wii U this week as well, but not a Wii U game. You've been using the Virtual Console feature.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I had a Game Boy Advance a long time ago.
Losers, that's who didn't.
Exactly. So but a lot of people now don't have one, unfortunately. Are you saying they're losers?
I mean, I don't have one now, but
what a loser.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a game I used to play on it back whenever we go boating. Oddly, I don't know why I bring video games on a boat because water and stuff.
Because I mean, why wouldn't you bring them? I mean, because otherwise you'd have to like be in the sun where it's hot, like
exactly.
all that weird stuff. Yeah, just hide under the umbrella and play some games.
Yeah, but except that doesn't really work because with those old Game Boys you need direct sunlight in order to barely make out what's on the screen.
Which now if you get direct sunlight on your like 3DS or Vita screen, you're like, no, I need dark. Like we've gone from like not being able to play it all at night to pretty much just wanting to play at night.
They're slowly forcing gamers into the shadows, is what they're doing.
Yeah. They know us gamers are going to keep our skin in the caves anyway. So.
Yeah, so what I've been playing is Advance Wars, actually. It's available on the Wii U Virtual Console since a long time ago, actually. And for those of you who don't know, it's a turn-based tactical strategy game. Think StarCraft, but turn-based, basically. And I think when Paul was on, he talked a little bit about some version that he played online with other people, which, by the way, has been shut down. Thank you, Nintendo copyright lawyers.
Yeah, thanks, lawyers.
Yeah, and it's just as great a game as I remember. You have the 2 to 4 different armies, and you're taking charge of one, and they're different terrain, gives you different advantages. Like you can't really take tanks through mountains, but infantry does a lot better on that than in below ground. And I don't know, there's not really a lot more to say that we haven't talked about it already, other than the fact that you have different commanders who actually have different powers that help to change how the game is played, so that it's just not a straight up tactical war based game, which is really interesting. For example, some of them may give you a critical strike bonus so that your attacks are a lot stronger. Others may make it to where you can see through the fog of war, whereas normally you can't, and stuff like that. Which, and because those are different between each of the factions, it adds a different kind of strategy to the game, because you have to be able to plan for that and take advantage of the other team's weaknesses, and also strategize for how you're going to deal with their strengths that you don't have.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, I think we all talked about how much we love the Advance Wars series, and wonder, like, why hasn't there been a more recent entry into that? Although, Nick talked not too long ago on the show about Fire Emblem Awakening, and I'll save it for later because I'm not that far in, but I started playing that on my 3DS lately, and I feel like that's a pretty decent, a little bit different, but for the most part a pretty decent Advance Wars stand-in.
Yeah, especially since you can play that online, correct?
I actually don't know. Nick, do you know?
I don't think you can. I think it's only local play only.
Oh, I should have guessed.
But I mean, it's still, even the campaign is a lot of the same thing. Instead of tank beats artillery, whatever, right? It's like lance beats sword, sword beats axe, axe beats lance, and you have your healers and mages, and you're kind of on that over that tactical turn-based RPG screen, and moving around, fighting your battles and things like that. So pretty cool. Also some Smash characters in there, Robin, Marth, etc. So yeah, thumbs up to that. So I'll talk about a couple of games on a couple other non-Nintendo systems. I think we talked about all Nintendo so far. That's kind of a change up for this show, I think. But I've been playing a game called CastleStorm on my PlayStation Vita, which was part of the August PS Plus games. And I know, Nick, you've been playing some of those as well. CastleStorm is reminiscent of those Flash games you used to play on Newgrounds back in the day, where you have a tower on each side. You have your castle on the left side of the screen, the enemy on the right side, and you're sending minions across the map towards each other. You have a catapult, so you're also shooting at other minions and at the enemy castle. And this game also has heroes who you can summon and kind of go down into the battlefield and fight as. So it's an outdated feeling kind of sort of game system. It's not something all that new or interesting, but I found myself playing a lot of it. I think part of it comes from the fact that you can build your own castle. So you can go into the editor, and for any rooms or units in the barracks and things like that you have unlocked, you can actually build your own castle structure and try to build it in a way that you feel is going to be more structurally sound from the enemy. And you can upgrade your rooms. So, for example, you build minions faster based on how much food you have. So you can actually put a kitchen in your castle, and then as you get more money progressively through the levels, you can upgrade that kitchen so that you get food faster, so you can build minions faster. And so it becomes this decision-based game where you're either upgrading minions, you're upgrading your hero and magic, or you're upgrading the castle features itself, or the projectiles that your catapult shoots, and you're balancing those things dependent on your preferred play style. So I think that nuance to it, and that kind of almost RPG upgradable system, is what has taken that kind of older Flash game concept and made it something interesting to me. Nick, you've been playing. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you build more than one kitchen in the same castle?
I haven't tried. I don't know. I think you probably could, and here's why. Tactically, you might want to do that because when a room is destroyed by your enemy, so let's say they're launching, a stone from their catapult into your castle, when a room is destroyed, you no longer get the benefits of that room. So let's say you have a barracks room in there for the archer unit, minion unit. Once that archer barracks room is destroyed, you can no longer build archers. So I think you probably can put rooms in your castle. There's a finite amount of rooms that you're allowed to build. But I think you can probably put them in there more than once if there's a particular thing you want to make sure that you have longer throughout the battle if one of those rooms gets destroyed.
Okay. But if you did have more than one, you wouldn't get, say, a double benefit or something like that.
I don't think so. Probably not. No. Yeah. Nick, you've been playing some of those PS Plus games. I think a couple of them, right?
Yeah. I've played Sound Shapes before, just a quick test on Clark's PSP Vita before. Now, I thought it was pretty good, but I always throw PSP out there. It's in the name.
PSP
right?
Vita. The P part is actually not in the name.
PS Vita. It's a portable PlayStation unit, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed portable. I believe it was originally going to be called the NGP was the code name for that.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know, just completely off topic here, but have you seen the prototype that was surfaced, like where it had the slide-up screen and the different button layout? And
yeah, you know what I did? I added some other prototype news that we'll talk about into the show notes, but I forgot about that. That did show up this week. That was really cool. That had the sliding screen, so it would have had like kind of a cover almost to it, kind of like the 3DS clamshell has.
Yeah.
There was something else in that. Oh, it was going to also use regular memory cards instead of
12 gigs of internal memory.
Yeah, instead of Sony's proprietary memory cards, which I feel like is reason number 2 that handheld never took off, is those proprietary memory cards are so expensive. Anyway, so Nick, you were talking about Sound Shapes on your NGP PSP Go Vita.
Duo second. Just go ahead and just throw a bunch of other things in there too. I've played Sound Shapes before, so I saw it was free this month, and so I jumped on that so I could play a little more of it. And it's the same game I played on Clark's system there. Fun. I love how when you play through the level, getting these little tokens, it builds on the music. And the saddest part about the game is the end of the levels for me, because you spend the whole level building this super sick soundtrack, and then you end the level and it just goes away, and you're like, man, I just got to where the song is super cool and I just finished. So you kind of just want to sit there at the end of the level just for a little bit, just to listen to what you've created while playing through. I'm sure Clark understands exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I understand exactly what you're talking about too. I platinumed that game, and then for the trophy hunters out there, you'll know that it's one of the rare games where if you sync the save, it's not the same trophy list across every PlayStation platform, but it's actually a separate trophy list on every platform. So you just sync your cloud save, you get all those trophies again with no work.
I found that out by accident, actually, when I turned on the PS4 for the first time, and then I was like, oh, sweet, that was a great game, I'm going to play it again. I turned it on, all of a sudden, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
I just heard it over and over.
I love Sound Shapes. I have been ready for Sound Shapes 2 for a long time, although they do keep releasing DLC for it pretty regularly, and also there's a pretty decent map building community as well.
Yeah, have you tried any of those maps?
I have. Yeah, I've tried a lot of the community maps. It's some of the people I think build better maps than were in the original game, and those were really good.
Yeah.
I'm still working through the original game, but I did take a look at a bunch of the community maps. Not played any, but I just decided to look at that section. I'm pretty excited by the list. There's a pretty substantial list there.
If I remember correctly, the original kind of almost campaign mode of the game is not that difficult. It's very fun, but it's then there's like a challenge mode, like a couple of little challenge mode things to complete after that, right? And
that's
they're
where
timed.
it's tough. Where you have to jump around while these things are trying to kill you and get the little note.
Yeah, you're basically constantly moving in those challenges, but once you get in kind of a fluid rhythm, it's not bad. But
I got almost everything in that game so fast, and then it was another week for me just to get this one. I remember it vividly. It's one where it's kind of like out in space, and you can stick to the wall around these rotating things, like asteroids, and you have to jump and get them within the right amount of time.
There are several jumps where, if I remember correctly, you have to kind of let yourself fall almost to death, and at the last minute kind of veer over and recover.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then there's also the mode where you can kind of take sound effects and build beats along these, and kind of you have to like listen to the beat and then choose where to place the beat. Yeah, Beat School. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's interesting too. That game's just jam packed with stuff to do.
And I'm starting to get into that. I've only been playing I've almost finished the original kind of campaign, and like you said, it's pretty basic, pretty simple. I do remember when I played on some of Clark's levels, they were a bit more intense. So
Wait, what did you call me?
Some of Clark's levels.
Okay, I thought I heard something different.
On your system.
What did you think you heard?
I thought he called me Klunkster McClark.
Clunkster McClark.
That should be your new name.
That's it. That's Clunkster McClark. It is.
Clunkster McClark. I don't know. Did it sound like I said that, Josh? Maybe.
It kind of did. I mean, I thought, or either that or Mark.
Oh, okay.
I'll just call him Mark from now on. So I'm just now getting into that. But the game I really want to talk about, Limbo. I'm not sure if any of you two played Limbo.
I have, I've played through Limbo originally on the 360 when it first came out, and then again on, I think Vita. I think it was actually PS Plus for Vita before, and now it's on PS Plus for PS4 this month. So I didn't fire it back up on PS4 because I've beaten it on 2 other systems. But yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, I really like that game. I like the idea of that game. It just kind of throws you into this world. You're like, what the heck's going on? The art style is fantastic, by the way. Mm-hmm. But you're just kind of running around, and as you're moving through, it's just kind of building like kind of a question, an over question thing of like what the heck's going on? Who are these people trying to kill me? Why am I here? As you go through the game, and I just kind of love that because it's just kind of it builds like a suspense, like you think something's gonna happen.
Almost like a 2D eco.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Limbo is one of those. I hesitate to say this, but I guess it's sort of true. But it's kind of for me one of those original indie games. Like Limbo and Braid and all the games that came around that sort of time when they first released, are sort of what I feel like were the games that were very well reviewed critically and became like the catalyst for all the great indie games that we've gotten since.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is very original. I think it's still a pretty original game, and some of the fun parts about this, the most fun parts about the game that I've played so far, are the trial and error situations where it's like you got these platforms up here and you see a button. You're like, okay, well I'll just jump over that. And you step aside and you just smashed. So you jump on the button and then jump over it. But there's another one. You're like, all right, well I'll jump on the button. Well, what do you know? The button's the trigger now, and you get smashed. So you got to kind of figure out what's going to kill you and what's not, because it's a very dark-looking game, so everything's kind of like a shadow. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that. What was that game, Clark? The one that I actually bought you, where you play in the shadows, climbing this tower.
I do believe that one was called Lost in Shadow.
Kind of reminds me of that in terms of the way it kind of looks, except a little more artsy version of it, and without light.
Yeah, I think Limbo was probably, I think it was before Lost in Shadow, but also kind of a cool game. And for everybody listening to the audio podcast instead of the live show, wondering why we're laughing, it's because Clark, every time we mention any game, Clark literally reaches over from his chair and can pull it off a shelf.
Yep, at least once per episode. I'm glad you guys mentioned things that I have here right now.
I think it's not that we're mentioning things you have. I think you just have everything.
Not even games. You mentioned Lord of the Rings last time.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So I've also been getting. I don't want to say I've been getting back into Hearthstone because in my heart I've told myself that I'm actually not playing Hearthstone anymore, but I still am in reality, so I don't really know how that works. But I mean, I got to the point where I felt like Hearthstone was just like too, like I would rank up each season to a certain level, and then I just could never get beyond that plateau because I haven't paid money to do any of the campaigns or buy any card packs. So I'm only unlocking card packs that I get for getting gold from daily quests and things like that. So I would feel as though people had the boss cards and things that just I had no chance against when they would play them against me because I don't have that many boss cards. So I was kind of like, I'm done with Hearthstone. Then they added that Tavern Brawl mode, which I think I mentioned on the show before, which is every week they throw in a different kind of variable, and you play these Tavern Brawl modes. They're not part of the ranked matches. They're kind of like a separate game mode where, it's like this week everybody gets banana cards, and banana cards restore 1 HP or something. And so like they're just, you'll draw a card from your deck and it's a banana. Or they'll summon a minion every time you cast a spell, and it'll summon a random minion. So you would build a deck that's just all spells, so you're casting spells and getting free minions. I felt like Tavern Brawl gave me a little bit of a chance to be competitive against some of the higher level players, because they were forced to use the same cards I was using many times, and kind of level set the playing field. So this week's Tavern Brawl, I think I mentioned in the news last time that there's the new Hearthstone expansion, the Grand Tournament, coming out, which has 132 new cards, some new things, new features that these cards can do. And the Grand Tournament actually comes out August 24th, so if you're listening to the live show, that's tomorrow. They put some of those cards in this week's Tavern Brawl, and the two big things are Joust cards and Inspire cards. So what a Joust card does is when you play it, it actually surfaces a card from each player's deck randomly, and whoever has the highest, whichever card costs the most mana to play, if it's your card, the player who played the Joust card, then that Joust card gets Taunt and a Divine Shield, which basically means it can take 2 hits before it loses any HP. So those are the Joust cards. Then there are Inspire cards in this new mode, and those are cards that have some random attribute that happens or action that happens when you use your hero power. So, what's that?
That sounds inspired.
It is. You're inspiring your little minion card because you've used your hero power. So you might play a minion with Inspire, and it might be I don't even know if this is a real one. I'm just using an example. But it may be when this minion gets inspired, it deals 4 damage to the enemy hero. So you would play that minion on a turn where you're also going to have enough mana to use your hero power, right? So you play the minion, and then let's say you're a hunter hero. You'll fire off your arrow. You'll get the damage for firing the arrow, and then you'll inspire that card to also do the damage that it said it was going to do when it got inspired. So you're kind of doubling your firepower against the enemies. So I played a lot of Tavern Brawl this week and used those Joust and Inspire cards. I won 0 matches as the Joust player, and then I won like 5 matches as the Inspire player. I actually went undefeated when I had the Inspire cards versus the Joust cards. So I'm feeling like the Inspire cards are a little unbalanced right now, and they might get nerfed at some point. So those cards are now showing up in the crafting section, but you can't craft them yet. So once the Grand Tournament releases tomorrow and all these new cards are actually out in play for ranked matches, it's going to be really interesting to see how all that shapes up. So that's everything that we've been clearing out of our backlog this week. I know we've got a lot of other things that we've kind of started and stopped playing that we'll be talking about in future episodes, but I guess we could go ahead and move on to talk about a little... Well, it's weird. I'm at the beach, but I swear I still hear the news motorcycle. Yeah, there it was. I heard it. I know I heard it. Yeah. All right, so there's actually some pretty cool news this week. To start off, we saw that Nintendo filed a patent for a new piece of hardware. There's been no real comment from them. No one can confirm. Yeah, of course not, right? No one can confirm that this is the rumored, or not rumored. They have said they're working on the NX, which will be the Wii U's console successor. We don't know if this is for the NX, but one would presume Nintendo files a patent for a gaming console. It makes kind of sense that it might be the next one they're working on.
But I would guess.
Yeah. So why is this even more kind of noteworthy though? There was no physical media drive in those blueprints, which means no disc, no cartridge. Could Nintendo be leading us into the downloadable only future here?
Potentially. For their Wii U, their download only sales actually are doing pretty good, especially considering how they did with downloads on the Wii. With the Wii U, their online store, though maybe not as robust as Sony's or Microsoft's, is a lot better and much more streamlined than they've previously had in the past. It's actually not so bad. You can find things easily, and lots of people are downloading from it, actually. So, that makes things easier. They wouldn't have to take the time to publish discs. There's a lot of cost in that, both in potential unsold inventory, etc., that you wouldn't have to worry about, manufacturing costs. And so, assuming nowadays, since people download them, almost everything anyway, it would be a pretty smart move, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. The Nintendo with the Wii U has actually done a lot of bundles where the Wii U comes bundled with a downloadable game code, right? So, like the Splatoon bundle that I have, I know there have been Mario bundles, there have been Wind Waker bundles, and Skylanders bundles. I'm not sure if those came with download codes or physical discs. I think at least a couple of the Mario bundles just came with download codes, though. So we've seen Nintendo already embracing this, and certainly, like you said, their kind of online storefront isn't quite as good as Sony's is right now. Xbox 360 was great, but Xbox One's a mess, to be quite honest. So Nintendo certainly knows what they're doing now with online. It seems like they've worked out all those kinks fairly well, and I'm sure they'll only get better at it. Do you think, though, the problem with this succeeding in North America is really infrastructure?
Right.
We enjoy high-speed internet, and probably most of the folks who listen to this show enjoy high-speed internet. But there are a lot of rural America that still does not have high-speed, broadband internet connections. So having to download all of your games, little iffy. But do you think maybe in the cost avoidance, all those manufacturing costs, Nintendo could make up the difference in software sales in the countries that do have, better internet, Korea, Japan? Maybe they make up, maybe they get more software sales there if they have a really successful console, and it kind of offsets what they wouldn't sell here?
Yes, I think so. And also, if we're looking at it in terms of hardware sales of this new system versus what they are currently selling with the Wii U, the Wii U's not selling very well now, so it's not like they're going to have fewer sales with a more successful system that sells only to places that actually have high-speed access. The problem, though, with offsetting the sales that you get from the rural areas with other areas is you are kind of alienating a potential audience and maybe other people that you could get hooked on your franchises while they're young, so that they'll want to play them when they're older.
Although even if those places don't have broadband internet, I bet they have at least a 4G connection and a smartphone, and Nintendo is about to be in that business.
Indeed.
So maybe this whole thing is an ecosystem that they're looking at.
The only issue I would think of is if they decide to put only 32 gigs of memory in the device.
Yeah, that's a little questionable, but at least the whole USB external hard drive thing is supported quite well.
Yeah.
So one thing to note in that story, though, the Xbox One patent originally also did not have a physical media drive, so this is not a guarantee that this is how this hardware will eventually come out.
Right.
Okay, so some other announcements also related. Again, this is a Nintendo-heavy episode. Again, this is rare for us, but I'm fine with that. Pokken Tournament, aka Pokemon Tekken in the East, announced for a Western release in Q2 2016. We're expecting that spring of next year on Wii U. I actually did not know Pokemon Tekken was a thing, but I'm cool with it. I remember. I don't know. It's hard for me to dislike anything with Pokemon in it.
You're fighting with Pokemon in real time rather than some kind of turn-based battle system, and I think that's exciting. Nick even though I am the biggest Poke fan, so to speak, of all three of us here.
What I'm saying is, I think I have a Pokemon game that I can beat him at.
Yeah, finally. Yeah.
I see.
I
I don't know. I mean, in a way, we already have Lucario and Greninja and Pikachu and Charizard and all these characters in Smash Bros. I'm curious to see like how this game plays differently from Smash Bros. And why we wouldn't just get like more Pokemon DLC or something. But
this I believe will play more like a traditional fighting game. You're not trying to knock someone out of the arena, so rather than doing that, you're going to be trying to KO them or reduce their health to 0, etc. So I did read somewhere that it's not going to play exactly like Tekken does, but considering the fact that the developers of Tekken are working on it, I think there will be definitely some similarities in the gameplay.
Yeah, that would be Namco, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
They also created those Dragon Ball Z Budokai whatever games too. And if you watched any of the gameplay of the game, it kind of looks like it has a little bit of that in there too, with some of that high pace action nonsense just like going on. So it kind of
and some rotation around the 3D environment as well.
That's it too, yeah.
Yeah. You know, if Nintendo puts like how many hundreds of ever Pokemon there are, there'll always be 151 to me. But if they put all of the Pokemon in there and then do like a amiibo set for each character in this game, they're going to make so much money. The Wii U won't even matter anymore. The Wii U sales, they'll just make so much amiibo money.
There are actually 718 different Pokemon.
I thought there was only 650.
How are there literally enough letters in the alphabet to have that many Pokemon?
There's a Pokemon, Josh, that is like a toaster and a fridge and a lamp.
So
yeah, actually, some of these
Pokemon has jumped the shark.
There's 718, but like
which is also probably a Pokemon, Jump Sharkio.
Like 29 different forms, and then there are different colors and all this other stuff, and then male versus female versions, except for the Nidorans, which is kind of weird because they're.
I don't know anything you're saying right now.
Somebody out there does know, and they appreciate what I'm saying.
Fair enough. So I got to get us into some Xbox news before I claw my eyeballs out here. But so Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, was asked on Twitter about original Xbox. Now, don't get original Xbox confused with Xbox One, which is current gen, and then there's the Xbox first, the first one, original. We'll just call it original Xbox, OG Xbox. He was asked on Twitter about backwards compatibility for that. For those games to be able to play them on the Xbox One, because they are working on, they've already kind of accomplished Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and he basically responded like, "Hey, let's just finish Xbox 360 first." He didn't rule it out. I think there have been some later discussions. It sounds like potentially Microsoft could be adding backwards compatibility functions to original Xbox games, so going back 2 generations for the Xbox One. We could see that in our lifetime. I mean, it's cool, but I think we've talked about on the show, there's just so many games to play nowadays. I rarely feel like I want to spend time going back and retreading at least stuff from that era. I mean, you're talking Advance Wars. We've talked about a lot of other retro NES, SNES era games on the show, but are you really hankering to go back and play anything original Xbox other than Halo, which is already in the Master Chief Collection?
Midnight Club 2.
Sure, okay.
I would pull that off my shelf, but...
Isn't that a racing
game? Back
game?
in my mountain cave, I could pull it off of my shelf.
That's a racing game, right?
Yeah, it's an awesome racing game.
It's pretty sweet.
I don't know, when I think back to original Xbox, I'm struggled. Maybe the original Fable is probably the best game on that console. That and Halo. Yeah, okay, so we'll switch over to Sony then. They're taking beta testers for the next PS4 firmware update, which I think folks are thinking is going to be 3.0 of the PS4 software. And this is essentially, interface, functionality, those types of things. But they announced that they were going to let people start signing up to test that out on their PS4s. It's rumored that this will add YouTube streaming, the ability to upload videos to Twitter, and those sorts of things. So more app functionality type stuff, more featurey than anything that's really gonna, I don't know, make it run better. Although I'm sure there are some bug fixes in there, or be that like gaming related. I'm not sure anyone has come out and said that they're gonna update the UI in any way. Although for the most part, I like PS4's UI. But I don't know, interesting. Do you guys really care about firmware updates that often?
I am excited when there's a new one usually, but I don't think I'll ever beta test a Sony PlayStation firmware update just because of all the problems I have with their already tested ones that they push out.
Yeah, I mean, beta testing stuff for Sony is like, how can I get hacked today?
Here, just take my wallet, okay? There's our beta test.
Right. Yeah, so I think there's some other news this week, including some Destiny news, which I know has to probably come from Nick.
What makes you say that? What?
Well, it's either Netflix, Destiny, or Netflix and Destiny.
I haven't played Destiny in well over a month, thank you very much. I finally got everything. But yeah, I decided...
Wait. Did you get the Red Bull DLC?
No, okay, I'm sorry. I got everything that isn't Red Bull, because screw that. My entire thought about the Red Bull garbage. But no, I had pretty much just finished on Destiny, because I like the core gameplay, as I've mentioned before, but it's repetitive. That's just the fact. But I decided to look up the Taken King just to see what they were going to do, if they were going to add like a new level or two. And actually, I'm pretty surprised by the Taken King. It seems like to me they're fixing nearly every problem that people complained about with the the vanilla version of.
And charging you for the privilege.
Well, no, I kind of wish I didn't play Destiny until this September, because they're selling not only the original game and the first two expansions, aka small DLCs. They're also giving out this, which is the only real expansion, all for like $40 to $60. You get all of that. I'm thinking, I paid that much for the original game, which wasn't even a complete game. But anywho, no, they're doing a lot of changes. Like, they're changing up. They understand the first game, or the first part of the game, had no story, answered no questions, and it was really repetitive all around. So they're basically saying, all right, well, if you buy this one and you hadn't played it before, here's a sweet token to level you up past everything in the original game. You can play it, at your own leisure, but here's the new stuff that we actually put a story into, and they set up a bunch of quests that are supposed to explain things. It'll take you here and there, not just, let me open this door with my ghost. No, it's supposed to take you and travel you around and give you story, into your game, not just a game with opening doors or killing waves of enemies. And they're also changing up the way the loot system, that awful loot system works, and they're changing up a bunch of the game, even to the point where you can now legitimately customize your character to be how you want him to be, basically, and make him still high enough and relevant to function. Not, I like this stuff, but it's so low in level and defense that I look cool, but I have to trade up for this really hideous-looking garbage from a raid. Now you can pick however you want. And they're fixing. There's too much for me to talk about, but they're fixing a lot of the issues that myself and multiple other gamers had with it. So I'm actually a little excited for it again. I might wait until after it comes out this time around. They've already got me once, so I might wait to...
What he's saying is he's not pre-ordering it, but he'll buy it day one, in the evening.
In the evening, yes, after I see stuff on it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that all actually sounds really great, and I will admit, as much as I am down on Destiny, that it had potential, and there were things that were fun for a little while. And this all sounds awesome, and it's admirable that they're doing this, but for me, it's like, this game came out right at a year ago now, and so it's becoming a complete game 1 year later, and I'm like, I'm so far in a different place now from where I was a year ago. Like, I have so many other things that I want to play. Metal Gear Solid 5 is about to come out, Halo 5, Tomb Raider, I'm missing stuff, Uncharted Collection. There's so much stuff and my backlog's like this anyway. I just why couldn't they have done this in the beginning when I had time to play this game?
I think they should have just pushed the game back a whole year. But at the same time, if they would have released it now, they probably wouldn't have come to all these nice ideas that they have for this new expansion. It probably would have just been a slightly more complete, mediocre game.
Yeah, I mean they've really taken
They've listened to the
user
community.
feedback. Yeah, community feedback into account. It's great, and you would expect some studio like Bungie would do that. That's such a great studio. It's a little, I can't even say frustrating because again, it's great they're doing this stuff. It's just disappointing that I'll never have played the version of Destiny that you like so much.
All right. The version that I like so much isn't out yet. I'm hoping this will be it. I invested so much time into it that I was determined to get every exotic just so I could be like, yeah, I got them all. It was kind of like Clark's Pokemon. He wanted to catch them all. I caught all.
Missing a couple.
Well, I caught them all, Clark. My game universe.
Whatever.
I caught all the original ones.
I couldn't even get Mewtwo. I couldn't do it. I got lost when I was little in that cave. Or Clark would come in and mess up my direction. I'd be going through that cave just fine, and I'd leave for a minute. I don't know what it was about me when I was little, but I would like to leave my game systems just on and running and leave the room, which was a terrible idea with Clark around, because he would walk right in. Oh, look, Nick's over here. He's making progress. Well, let's fix that. And just he'd turn me all around. I'd get lost. I eventually just gave up.
You wanted to... Okay, I've never said this. I will let you know right now, in front of everybody, the reason you were never able to find that Mewtwo...
You caught him, didn't you?
No, I didn't catch him. I killed him. and then,
I looked at that cave for weeks.
I killed him, brought you back to the front of the cave, and then saved it like nothing had ever happened.
Oh my gosh!
This
is a shocking revel. This is like an episode of Mari now.
Weeks. I gave up. I don't even know why I looked for that long. He kept telling me, he's like, nah, Nick, he's really complicated to get to. He's the best Pokemon in the game. You just got to really look. I looked everywhere. And now it comes out. That's what, Clark, that might be worse than what you did with my Sonic game on the Game Gear. I don't know which one's worse.
Oh,
We'll get into Sonic some other time, though. I don't want to bring that.
You're a Mewtwo murderer.
Well, I mean, the game just said he fainted, but so.
True, as Pokemon does.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I hear there was a little Final Fantasy VII news this week, but not about the remake.
No, it's actually they have released Final Fantasy VII on iOS, and I believe there's an Android version either out or coming out as well. It's a port of the PC version, not the PlayStation version, and no changes in story or anything like that. But there are two interesting gameplay-related changes that they made, both optional, but I can see why they made it due to the platform that the game is getting put on. One of those changes is you can actually toggle an option on such that there will be no battles except for the ones that are integral to the story. You know, like, for example, fighting Sephiroth, or whenever you're with Barrett fighting, I forget the name of the person that he fought. And so, yeah, it's basically playing Final Fantasy without battles. So, you know, it's almost like watching the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I did when I played it.
Yeah, so, and then the other option is because since you won't be fighting any battles, so you won't gain any experience, you can actually set it to maximize all of your stats, to where when you do have those battles, you can just plow right through them. And I find it odd that you're pretty much removing one of the core gameplay mechanics of the game, if you want to. But on the other hand, it makes sense if you're playing it on an iPhone and you really just kind of want to go through the story. Then again, reading the Wikipedia page would serve the same purpose. So I don't know how I feel about those.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game with a great story, and I think it would be 100% really cool, really fun to just kind of have an interactive storybook version. But the turn-based whole random generated battles, random battle thing aside, which I'm not a huge fan of, but selecting your materia and your sort of strategy for each battle and
Right.
the moves that you're going to use on enemies. That part of it, I feel like, is not tedious. That part is actually fun.
No, there's
So
a lot of
I
strategy
wouldn't
in
want
that.
to remove that from the game.
And then also the Final Fantasy VII used what Square called the active time battle system. You could turn it off to be more of a traditional turn-based battle system, such that faster characters go first, and you make all the selections, then you just watch the battle play out. But in the active time battle system, there's a bar that fills up, and it fills up faster if your character is faster, and then that determines when you can start selecting commands. But the thing that makes that real interesting is the time bars for the enemies fill up as well. So if you take too long selecting commands, enemies can keep attacking you multiple times. So not only do you have to think about the strategies that you talked about, but you also have to do that while under time pressure. So sometimes you may make a less than tactically advantageous choice just because you know you need to get an attack out before the enemy attacks, and that might give you some more time to think of how you'll set up your next attack, which it also removes the ability to go through that whole process if you turn off the battles.
Yeah, indeed, man. Yeah, I almost want to like put this on my phone and try it out and see how it looks on there, but at the same time, I know that remake's coming, so I think I'm just like eagerly awaiting that.
I would say if you don't have a PS4 and you want to play the original version, and you don't have a Vita, then sure, go ahead and get it on hopefully an iPad and then the phone if necessary. But if you have a Vita, you can actually just download the PS1 Classic version, and that I think is superior because you actually get to use an actual controller.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so cool. So we've talked about our backlogs. We've talked about got some news dropped off by the news motorcycle. I think it's time now to switch away from gaming and talk a little bit about other stuff in the section, a little segment we call "We Have Hobbies." So I just want to throw out real quickly a quick book recommendation and then book warning. So there was a guy by the name of Stephen Paul Leva who wrote a book called Traveling in Space, and there's a review of it up on my website, joshuadelung.com. I read it well before we started this show. I actually listened to the audiobook version voiced by Jeff Kanata, who did a wonderful, wonderful job doing all the voices in that book. Traveling in Space, highly recommend it. It has become one of my favorite science fiction stories of all time. It is a first encounter story from the perspective of the aliens instead of from the perspective of the Earthlings. The smartest, wittiest, funniest prose, like dialogue between the characters that I have ever read. It's really good, so good. So that's Traveling in Space by Stephen Paul Leva. So that book was so good, I wanted to see what his next book was all about, and it's called By the Sea. I figured, hey, I'm at the beach this week, perfect time to read this book. So I've had it on the back burner. I started reading it. I got like 100 pages in. I kind of want to like ask Amazon if I can give this book back to them. It was done by like some small publisher in Connecticut who apparently didn't hire a proofreader. Within the first 100 pages, there were like 6 or 7 like really majorly bad typos, and they weren't like misspelled words that like Microsoft Word would have caught. They're like incorrect use of your and like starred instead of stared and things like that. It's just
like in times of yore, and they spelled it Y-O-U-R.
Yes, exactly like that, of course. So that was really distracting, and I just felt like the whole thing was a mess. But then the story was just like really bad. It wasn't a sci-fi book, which I'm okay with, totally. I wanted to see like what else he could do. But it's basically just like these people. There's like a guy who's a waiter, and he goes and he waits at the restaurant. And there's this girl who wants to be an actress, and she goes and auditions, reads a monologue at the theater. It's like all these just various people at this beach town like doing their job without any real like cohesive story or reason why I care to read this dull stuff that they're doing. So I cannot recommend By the Sea. In fact, I would say stay far, far away. and I feel kind of bad saying that because Traveling in Space, same author, amazing book. So that's a book thing. I also have another recommendation, but I'll go after we talk about a couple movies, because I think there's a couple Marvel films in the queue here.
Yeah, there are. I actually, over the past week or so, I went and saw a few of the new Marvel films. I'm going to start with one that is on the worst side of things, the new Fantastic Four film, which I personally didn't care for the ones back in 2005 and 2007. They were, but those movies
at least those had Jessica Alba. I mean, to save them.
I want to say if you compare this movie with those movies are gold.
That's pretty bad.
Is terrible. Here, I'm just gonna let me just let you know. I looked up the reviews here from people that are professionals, not me. Rotten Tomatoes gives this film 8%.
Wow, that's bad.
Metacritic gives it a generous 27%. I think they're giving it a little too high there, and IMDb gives it a 3.9 out of 10.
Nice.
That's a 39%. That's pretty good compared to the others.
Rotten Tomatoes is the only one that got it right. I don't. You want me to throw some spoilers out there?
Go for it. If you don't want to be spoiled on this horrible movie we're saying you shouldn't go see, skip ahead a couple minutes.
All right, this movie, it starts to build their origin story, and first off, they don't
Why?
really.
Why do we need another origin story
I
for
don't know.
Fantastic Four?
They're not
That's like Spider-Man and Batman. We don't need these movies.
Well, this time they're not traveling to space. Apparently, they've created a thing to go to another dimension of some kind, and spoiler alert.
True to the source material, am I right?
Oh
yeah, virtual high five.
But they go to
little late, Nick. Little late.
But they go to this other dimension there, and they weren't supposed to go. They're like, we're gonna get professionals to go, and so all these the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom are like, you know what? We're gonna go to this other dimension. We built the machine. We're going to it. So they go there in the middle of the night, and what do you know? It's a dangerous place. Things start happening. So they try to go back, and I think his name's Vladimir Von Doom is Doctor Doom's name in this movie, and he gets stuck there.
It's not Victor. It's not Victor.
Oh, Victor Von Doom.
Okay, all right.
I stopped paying attention. It was really hard to focus on the movie. It was so bad. But they all come back. And by the way, they get their powers from this other dimension, except I forgot the actor who played Sue Storm. She didn't even.
Kate Mara from a little movie known as We Are Marshall and a TV series known as House of Cards.
I haven't seen House of Cards yet, but I hear it's fantastic. A lot better.
First two seasons are fantastic. Then it goes to shit.
Probably better than the movie, regardless. But she doesn't even go with them. Apparently, the re-entry of their machine into our world gives her superpowers. It's garbage. There's no action in almost the entire movie, and then at the end, when Doctor Doom comes in, you're like, first off, he doesn't really look right. He looks kind of stupid. He doesn't have that metal face. His special suit melted to him, and he has this old cheap-looking throw rug for his hood. It's terrible. But when he comes back, you're like, oh yeah, Doctor Doom's here. Finally, something. Because the only action you see before that is Michael Jordan, the actor playing, yes, not the basketball player. I think his name is Michael Jordan. He's like this other guy playing the Human Torch.
It's the black guy from Parenthood.
Yeah, he shoots down a drone for the Air Force to show off his skills, and you see in the background on a TV the Thing fight a tank, but there's no actual action really in the movie. But then Doctor Doom comes back, and I'm sitting there like, finally something. Just give me something. First off, he does not give any of his electricity, none of that. He just looks at people and their heads explode. And
so basically, he's Indiana Jones.
There you go. But he goes back. He goes there. He's like, I hate this world. It doesn't belong. And then he goes back to his dimension that the other dimension now, and he creates a wormhole to destroy the Earth, which is like the slowest destroying black hole I've ever seen, because it just does maybe a football field's worth of damage or so at this top. And here's another problem. There's a top secret military base they're all at, but right beside it's like an interstate with a ton of traffic. So I'm like, is this how top? I guess they hid it behind one line of trees, so the people on this, public road won't see it. But that's besides the point. That's little things. But anyway, Doctor Doom both of you have seen Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, the worst
Doctor
Spider-Man.
Doom got worse treatment than Venom got.
Wow.
He goes in there. They're like,
this is just another example of what happens when like the real franchise like shepherds let stuff get licensed out. It's like when we see the true Marvel Universe movies, and it doesn't matter what random ass character Marvel uses, it turns out great, and then Fox goes and does this like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four crap.
Oh gosh, it was so bad. But yeah, Doctor Doom, they're like, guys, none of us can beat him on our own, because they all run at him, and Doctor Doom's just like, get away from me. And then we need to work together. So they all run at him together, and they break his portal and disintegrate him. It's literally like a 2-minute ordeal. It's terrible.
Was there any cake in the portal?
There might have been. I think I will lie.
You lie. It's a
That's
lie.
A lie.
another virtual high five. Yeah.
I missed it. I missed it for a second. But anyway, as you mentioned though, Marvel, when they have the rights to their characters, they make great movies, no matter how random it is. So I happen to have seen a much better movie, Ant-Man, which Marvel does own the license to, and did make this film. And it was delightful. It was a fantastic film. I really don't want to throw any major spoilers out on this one because I would recommend to go see it because it's really good. And I know Clark, you watched all of Parks and Rec. The lead actor is Paul Rudd or Bobby Newport in Parks and Rec. He kind of plays that kind of goofy, comedic, idiot-ish in a way in this movie too, which really works for the Ant-Man. It was a good movie all around. It had Hank Pym in it, so I was really excited because I think we mentioned in a previous episode, where's Hank Pym? Who's this guy? Hank Pym is in fact in it, and Pym particles do exist. So I mean, it checked all the boxes for me. It wasn't my favorite Marvel movie. It was somewhere right about the middle, which is is saying something. It beat some of the like Thor 1 and Captain America 1.
So don't spoil who. But does this film have cameos from like the other Marvel movies like they tend to do recently with like the Avengers showing up and like Captain America? A lot of the Avengers show up in his film. Is this movie tied into that universe in some way?
Yes, it is tied in. It does have in the main movie a cameo from one of the Avengers, from one of the Avenger movies. It does have a cameo of him. And then after the credits, there are actually 2 post-scene credits. One that's kind of like, it kind of shows another addition to the Ant-Man universe, which is cool. And then the second post-credit sequence is, from what I understand, a direct scene or something of a direct scene from the new Captain America Civil War movie, and does, of course, have some of the characters that you would expect to see in that film as well.
Awesome.
So it does tie in just fine.
Nice.
Man, so good, so good. You guys excited for Batman v Superman though?
That actually I am.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how Batfleck turns out. Yeah, I'm more excited about it than I am any other movie that's had Superman in it before.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So speaking of movies, I actually watched a documentary, and I actually watched this a couple of weeks back, and I can't believe I forgot to mention it on the show. I don't know how that happened. So this is actually available on Netflix, and it is a documentary called The Search for General Tso, which is a pretty darn good Chinese dish, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got the chicken, it's got the spicy, it's crispy, you can't go wrong. So this is a documentary about where did this, and whether you pronounce it General Tso, General Tso, General Tsao, however you pronounce it. And let me tell you, there were people in this film who were Asian, who were American, who were European. It doesn't matter. Like there were 2 different Chinese people like pronouncing it different. Like nobody pronounces this dish the same way. Number 1, but number 2, where did this dish come from? Is it really a Chinese dish? We always kind of hear about like, oh, that's like the most American thing you can order when you go to a Chinese restaurant, right? So is it an American dish? Like, where did it come from? So this film explores that. They actually go to China. They actually go to the village where General Tso is from. Turns out he was a real general. There's a real like museum. Like you can go and visit like his home where he grew up. Like all this stuff. And I don't want to spoil too much here, but you do find out, actually, believe it or not, where the dish came from, where it originated. Whether or not that is in China, you'll have to watch and find out. Or maybe, yeah. So it's really interesting actually once you find out. You find out who invented it. So here's something. The chef who invented General Tso's chicken is actually still alive, or at least as of the time they made this documentary. You get to meet the chef and hear his take on everything. But then there's also this really cool history lesson tied in there about how this dish proliferated Western culture, especially in the U.S., and there's a really cool history lesson in there about Chinese immigrants. And so you know how like no matter how rural of a town you go to, like it can just be middle of nowhere in like Iowa somewhere, right? Pick any like state you would think would be deserted. And you can go to any rural town, and you know how there's always like one Golden Dragon or like something there, right? There's always a Chinese restaurant. It's just like you can always find a Chinese restaurant. This documentary explains why, and why the U.S. has so many Chinese restaurants, and kind of how that how the culture of those is rooted in different ways that Chinese cooking in America has adapted to the American taste over time. And it's a really cool history lesson, and at the same time you get to find out about this dish and hear it's actually a little controversial, like between like who created it, how it got to America. There's a little bit of kind of like espionage involved in the story. So really interesting. I know I'm throwing out a lot of generalities, but I just want everybody to go watch it because I was really actually, and I did not think I would be that intrigued by this documentary, but it was really cool. So that's The Search for General Tso, and it is on Netflix. So I would say go watch that.
Netflix, eh?
I did. I watched some Netflix. I didn't use any of my gaming consoles though. I just used my Vizio Smart TV to do that. So.
Is that so I can't like all your Netflix?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Nick, why didn't you add Josh onto your Wii U friends list for a while?
Yeah, man, why not? I mean, everybody else is on there.
I didn't. Well, I was moving, and I didn't notice that you actually added me until like yesterday.
Oh, so. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you watch Netflix on now?
How many notifications and how far back did they go from people liking your Netflix activity on PS4 after I brought it up on the show?
You know what? I had like 17, and they went back months. But the problem is, it doesn't tell me who likes anything. So it's just like someone liked activity of yours from like June, or someone liked activity of yours from May. I was like, who? What is this? And I'm looking, I'm like, who is this? I can't figure out who's liking my stuff.
Man, hey, everybody just likes Netflix. Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and call the doctor. Get a little advice going on for the listeners, like we always do from our friendly neighborhood StarCraft medic. Yeah, so I didn't really have any specific advice this week for the Call the Doctor segment, but I thought maybe we could each give our one most sage piece of advice for Super Smash Bros. How to succeed. So, Nick, I'll let you go first.
Oh, I get to go first?
Yep.
Yes.
Let me think. Oh, man, sage advice. Well, I'm a firm believer in the shield, but not overuse of the shield. A great set is use your shield when you see a predictable attack coming at you, like a running, run dash attack, a running A, or like a neutral air landing. And hold your shield in, and then smash the A button to do a quick grab once their attack finishes right in front of you. You're nearly guaranteed a grab, especially in casual play against people. And so it's a really good way to try kind of just stop them in their tracks and turn the tide in your favor.
Nice. Clark, what would be your piece of advice?
Actually, what I had was something very similar, except not with shields, because I like to use Jigglypuff a lot. If Jigglypuff's shields break, then he pretty much gets KO'd immediately. I was going to say learn to do the side dodge or down dodge. Instead of rolling to the left or right, you just pull down on the control stick and then you'll dodge in place. It's a lot faster. You don't have as much lag with the dodge, and you stay in your current location. And then from there, you can actually move swiftly into a grab or a smash attack or something like that. And also, nobody ever expects it because not so many people actually do that.
That's true. That's very true, actually.
With that one, though, you got to assess how long their attack is. Like Link's triple stab will just hurt you from that. So you really have to. It's situational setup.
Indeed. I think as someone who's just kind of really getting deeper and deeper into Smash here slowly, probably I would offer two things come to mind, so I'll say both of them. Number one would be don't ignore tilts. I think the tilt attacks, like you gotta definitely consider those, because if you're just doing like a regular attack, you're not going to do that much damage, but if you're doing a smash attack, it's going to take a long time. So for me, at least, that happy medium is those like tilting on the joystick and using my regular attacks, so that I get something that's a little more powerful but also a little faster. And then the second thing is something that I actually can't do very well yet, but that I'm noticing is absolutely key to success in Smash 4. And that is, you have got to learn to play off stage, because people, I feel like edge guarding is not as efficient as it used to be. You've got to really actually go off and get aerial to win a match and keep people off the map.
I find it funny that you mentioned that, because Clark will attest here. I am one of the few people that do not chase people off the ledge because it normally backfires on me. So I've developed a great edge guard set where I'm really good at guarding people coming back on, as long as I'm within that edge area. I normally don't chase off. And so I think it's kind of funny you bring that up. I do agree with you.
I'm not comfortable enough yet to actually go off stage and try to footstool people, but what I'll do is, like, if I'm using Toon Link, I'll pull bombs out, throw bombs, shoot arrows, and throw the boomerang, so there's like this kind of barrage of things going to the edge, and just hope that one hits them. They're dumb enough to like come up into one.
Like, something else that I think is very useful is a lot of people don't do back air attacks, actually. And when they do, they're moving backwards because it just seems intuitive that if you're going to tilt towards the back and you'll be moving backwards to do that. But you can actually move forwards on the screen while doing a back air by pressing forward with the control stick and then using the second stick, the C stick, to actually tilt that. And since you're in the air, it won't just be a smash attack automatically, and you can do the backwards air while moving forwards. And that's something that a lot of people don't expect, and it's very useful in certain situations, depending on the character you're using, of course.
Yeah, I can see that most certainly would be. Yeah.
Oh, and low hops too.
Yeah,
low hops.
Short hops, or where it's at.
Hops. Yeah, basically hold down on the control stick while tapping the jump button, and it's just very, very short hop.
Nice. Excuse me. Yeah. So, and in that same vein, probably turn off tap jump. Because you don't want to like try to be pushing up on the joystick to do like an up smash or an up tilt, and then accidentally jump.
You know, everybody likes to turn that off except for Nick. He actually uses up for jump.
Well, situational. I only use up to jump when I'm recovering. Just because that's how I did it way back when on the 64. It transferred to Melee, transferred to Brawl. So I don't use the button unless I'm on the stage. For my short hops, it's all the button. When I'm on the stage trying to jump up and do a follow-up from a grab, it's all the button. But when I'm recovering, it's all up for jump. And I do think I'm the last of my kind.
And how'd you do in that tournament again? I mean, I want to rethink your strategy there.
I did better than you. It's really funny that you mentioned that, because the team that me and the one who shall not be named, our team, we both use up still. And the team we fought said, it's like, we stopped using up, and so we fought them. They're like, we'll see who wins this match. Will be, it'll go towards up users or button users, and they did barely beat us. And so I guess it goes towards the button users. I thought it was kind of funny.
There you go. All right. Well, I guess we should get out of here. We've had a good show. We've talked about a lot of stuff in our backlog: news, documentaries, movies, books, Smash tips. And we've covered the range, and we've covered Nintendo, Xbox. I don't know if we talked about PC, but we'll definitely get there next show. PlayStation.
Hearthstone is on PC as well, right?
Hearthstone is on PC, yeah, certainly. Although I tend to the reason that I can't quit playing it, even though I want to, is because it's on my iPhone, and whenever I have my phone out and I've already checked all the other apps, I'm like, may as well play around the Hearthstone. So, yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to episode 16 of the World Map Podcast. You can give us feedback or send us questions and comments at worldmapcast@gmail.com. Listen to the show live each week right here on the Google Hangout on air. We usually air around 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday afternoons. The live show video gets archived to YouTube. You can also visit our website at worldmapcast.com. And, of course, the fully edited audio... Wow, that was bad. How long have we been doing this again? The fully edited audio podcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher. And you can also listen to the audio on our website, worldmapcast.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, World Mapcast. And Jesus Christ, for the love of God, please just go and give us some 5-star reviews on iTunes. Everybody there, I see how many of you are downloading this show every week. I see you. I get the stats. So please go give us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Really helps out, help other folks discover the show. And I think that's about it. So what do you say, guys? Until next time?
Until next time, we're popping smoke.
We are indeed.